So we couldn't go 24 hours without yet another Minecraft YouTuber getting some wild allegations. And today we have some allegations against Spifey to go through. If you don't know, Spifey is a massive creator with nearly 2 million subscribers who hasn't posted in 2 years, but really kept a clean image and still has a lot of fans awaiting his return. So with such a loyal audience, off the bat, millions of views were garnered on these exposed tweets against him. And with him not being very active nor having access to his Twitter account for a long time now, it is very unlikely that we'll actually get a response from him. And if we do, it's very unlikely that a lot of people will see it. So before we get into this, I do want to say that if a response video does come from Spifey, I'll let you guys know, whether that be from a video or a community post or whatever. Just to let you know, I'll keep you all informed. These allegations against Spifey we have today are pretty serious, so we have a lot to get into. Quick reminder that I'm not a lawyer nor a legal expert, that Spifey is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law, that I recommend you do your own research, and that before you make a comment, I recommend watching this video all the way through because I have some very important information about this case that directly involves me, which might change your view on this whole thing entirely. With that being said, I'm Alex, and let's get into the Spifey allegations. Now, Spifey was called out a few days ago by a Twitter user called Nat, and Nat not only has some pretty compelling evidence to back up her claims, but she also has been actively replying to people asking for extra bits of evidence and posting them. So what exactly is Nat alleging? Well, Nat is alleging that Spifey was weird to her, not necessarily grooming, but like he was really bad weird when she was still a minor. And the proof that she has is pretty substantial. A lot of Twitter DMs from 2018 between her and Spifey, both in screenshot and video form, some audio messages, a video showing that Spifey still follows her to this day, and the dates all lining up. Now, at this time, Nat would have been 16, and according to every major birthday source I found, Spifey would have been 20 at the time. He was born on October 6th, and every source I found says that he was born in 1997 and that he's 27 today. I couldn't find any tweets of him stating his direct age, but his birthday being October 6th, I can easily confirm. And I'm also not doubting famous birthdays. If they're wrong, then they failed at their one and only job. So to quickly recap the backstory as to how Nat and Spifey met, Nat sent Spifey a really jokingly mean Twitter DM in hopes to catch his attention and be able to talk to him, since she was a pretty big fan of his at the time. And somehow it worked, and with that, they started texting more and more, eventually on Snapchat, but also on Twitter. And the great thing about Twitter DMs when it comes to allegations like these is that it's really hard to delete them. If you delete a DM on Twitter, you only delete it for yourself, meaning that the other person can still see them, which means that once you've sent a message, it's there forever basically, unless you and whoever you texted mutually agree to delete them. And if you're doing that, then you probably have some bad messages you want to get rid of. So now that the context is cleared as to why Nat still can provide solid proof of DMs that allegedly happened 7 years ago, let's talk about Nat and Spifey's messages, because they're pretty weird. As always, I do recommend you read them for yourself and do your own research, but bro, they were mad freaky. Spifey was calling Nat an e-girl while Nat was calling Spifey E-daddy, daddy Spifey, and so on. Like, bro, it was weird. Some very weird, freaky messages to have with a 16-year-old, okay? Nat even suggested that they met up in real life and that it wasn't that bad because she was turning 17 soon. And they still kept texting. Now, look, if you have two people doing this without the age gap or whatever, it's not that bad. And I know some people are probably asking why she would even post stuff like that where she's clearly in the wrong. But to cut Nat some slack, posting all of these messages is actually very transparent and helps us get a clearer image of what she is alleging. Now, throughout all of this, as I said, Nat did mention she was 16, and so did Spifey. What's weird to me is the fact that this kept on happening for so long, because Nat showcases what was saved of her and Spifey's Snapchat messages, and remember, they first interacted in May 2018, and here the last saved message was in January 2020. Now, these messages aren't too bad, like corny, yes, but she also plays all of Spifey's audio messages that were saved, and they genuinely do sound like him. I really don't think they're AI. There's like nothing robotic about any of the messages, and the audio quality to me sounds exactly like something recorded from an iPhone. Not to act like I'm a phone microphone expert, but it just sounds like audio recorded from a high-end phone. I record phone videos and audios all the time for like music snippets from my speakers, and I've sent and received the occasional voice message. Like, no doubt they sound real, because if you've ever heard phone microphones, you know there's a few distinct ways they'll pick up the sound when you say the letters P or B up close compared to other microphones. With my microphone right now, which is just a Blue Yeti, it sounds kind of bassy, and I'm pretty sure there's a technical term for it, but with phone microphones, it almost sounds like there's extra air in those letters, if you guys get me, and that's what Spifey's voice messages sound like. All that to say, I don't think they're fake. Now, a few things that I will critique Nat for after looking through all the Snapchat logs is, 1, it looks like a lot of her messages are missing compared to Spifey's. I don't think they were deleted, but they just weren't saved because you have to save individual messages on Snap for them to not be deleted after 24 hours by default, and I'm just assuming that Nat saved Spifey's messages and that he didn't care to save most of hers, but there's not much we can do about that now. And 2, that she only played Spifey's audio messages and not hers, which, I mean, you never know what's in her audio messages, maybe something crucial, you know? And with someone who posted as much as her, it wouldn't hurt to post even more for people to look through. Like, the messages on Twitter were bad enough, and I don't think these audio memos can get much worse. But there's nothing too bad or worse than the Twitter DMs on the Snap messages, just some corny stuff for sure. Now, with that being said, should Spifey even have interacted with Nat knowing she was a fan, 16, and was interested in him? No. But here's where things start to get wicked. You see, Nat, as an adult, made grooming allegations against Dream in 2023. See what I'm getting at? Look, her evidence is compelling, but what messes me up is the prior interactions I've personally had with Nat knowing that she made these false allegations. And you can check my Twitter for this. I've literally interacted with her in the past. She tweeted at me and said Dream was a groomer who should kill himself when I was defending him before Dream himself responded to a majority of the allegations. And when she got hate for it and people started turning against her, she was like, "Oh guys, I never called Dream a groomer. What are you talking about?" And what's great about this is that I have the old tweets and screenshots from nearly 2 years ago publicly available. So you can legit go and fact check this. Keep in mind these interactions happened with the same girl who is making these claims against Spifey today. And while she doesn't necessarily call what her and Spifey were doing as him grooming her, she does mention it at the top of her document, which means for 2 years she still hasn't really figured out what grooming means. But look, with that obvious critique which everybody should know about aside, her evidence in regard to Spifey is pretty compelling. But what annoys me the most about this is like 2 things. There are 2 things that annoy me about this. 1, people like not using grooming as a term in their posts and top of their documents, because a lot of people only read the headlines, and if they wanted to complain about something, they didn't need to attach such a vile keyword that isn't true or can't be proven in the headline, because that leads people to believe that's what the allegations are about when they could be about something completely different. And 2, real victims feeling scared to speak out. The more we have iffy situations like these, the harder it actually is for the real victims of vile actions being done to come out with them. As a community, we of course have to take these allegations seriously, but with people using the terms like grooming incorrectly and others just making straight up false allegations, it makes it so much harder for the truth to come to light when it should. Real victims shouldn't feel afraid to speak out against a public figure, but with all of these iffy and false allegations getting so much attention, it makes it harder. But the one positive takeaway real victims should take from situations like those is that no matter what people say, you'll get the attention, as we've clearly seen with the recent allegations, and if you're telling the truth, people will support you. People don't hate real victims, but they just hate false allegations. That being said, I'm not saying Nat is not a real victim, but that was just my overall consensus on the allegation situation. Now, back to the Spifey allegations. With everything I wanted to say being said, do I think that Spifey is innocent? Honestly, given Nat's past track record, things could be manipulated, and it's unlikely we'll actually get a response from Spifey. He's not really active, but one thing seems pretty clear to me at this point, and that's that Nat and Spifey likely did interact. But if everything provided by Nat is true, I'm just skeptical given my past experience with her. It would also really suck for Spifey to return only to respond on his socials. I'm sure he still keeps up with what's happening, so if Spifey does want to respond, I'm very open to giving him my platform here on the channel. Likewise Nat, if she didn't like what I said about her here. That being said, it's been your boy, Chips Ahoy. Okay, sorry, I just had to make that joke. I've been Alex, thank you so much for watching. Peep the music if y'all want. I love y'all, and yeah, see ya. Got an Asian baddie and she down on her knees.